Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannie Doherty, and I'm very excited to be here today to share with you the essential ingredients for manifesting big money during uncertain times. So, I have a question for you. Are you deeply desiring more money to manifest? But no matter what you do, you can't seem to shatter that glass ceiling. Um, do you believe it's not really possible, but you kind of hope it is? See, that's a broken money brain thought that gets repeated over and over. And what we forget is when we have an untrained money brain, then we constantly, if you will, diminish and delete and destroy any sign that we could. So when we say it might take you some time to manifest money, sometimes people are literally stuck in a money manifestation waiting room with their untrained money brain for years, if not decades. But here's the real problem. Your money making strategies are exhausting you and causing you burnout, which is why you can't shatter your own glass ceiling. It doesn't matter if you're aiming for $20,000 months, these whale sized clients of $100,000 contracts. It doesn't matter if you have a competitive job. It doesn't matter if you're out of work. Your money making brain responds to what you say, what you think, and what you do. So the people who work with me because they're trying to find a way to solve, the money problems that they think that they can't solve on their own, which they are correct, they can't. And so the reason they do this is because they keep repeating the patterns of, I want to make more money, but I can't do it. Right. So they have to find a way that they can do it. And that's why they contact me. So it really doesn't matter, how much money you have in your bank account, doesn't matter how much you charge, how much you actually make a year, or how big your business is. What matters is that you are in control of your money brain and not these nibbling and wiggling little voices that you have in your brain that will tell you there's not enough money, there's no way this is going to work out, and it's going to take a really long time with a lot of work, and I don't think I've got it, right? So, one of the biggest money myths that I hear from folks is that they think that money mindset, it's just, something that you just turn on and it's great. And I have a wonderful money mindset. Well, maybe, maybe not. See, your money mindset is really just your conscious thoughts. And what most people do is they'll have a positive, conscious money mindset thought, and then they forget about it because that untrained money brain that's kind of, nibbling and wiggling around in your brain is something that is not under your control, for lack of a better word, and it will not continue to create those positive thoughts. You have to do that at a conscious level. And if you keep forgetting, which is what most people do, you'll revert back to your negative thoughts about money. And here's the thing that isn't talked about is that your financial results are actually, what's in the money in your bank accounts, what's the money that's coming in, are actually because of your subconscious programming. And that's not shared enough. We just assume consciously if we think and want to grow rich, it'll happen. No, it's taken a lot of those folks like a decade or years to figure it out all on their own. So sometimes we've got to face that the truth, even if it's hard to look at, we don't always enjoy it. But if you know this is really true, that your financial results are because of your subconscious programming, then you don't have to keep struggling for years and weeks and decades. You just don't. And I just have some really good news for you. The good news is that, money is actually one of the easiest things to solve because we're human. We invented it in the first place. And I don't tell you what to do with your money. I'm not a financial advisor. But I help you rewire your money brain so you know what to do with your money. A lot of people have what we call decision fatigue, particularly when it comes to money. And that's a money brain problem that has to be resolved. Just because you have more money doesn't mean your decisions go away. That's another money myth. So I practice winning money psychology, not just mere money management. And I speak directly to this money brain of yours that wants less stress, wants to sleep better, and have more money. And as you can tell, I'm not a lazy or frilly person. I'm direct. I give you truth bombs, but in a good way because I won't hurt you. And honestly, the truth isn't going to hurt you. It's just here to wake you up. But before we go any further, I want to give you the essential ingredients to making or manifesting that big money in uncertain times, because a lot of times people are like, well, what is it? I don't know. First of all, whatever your goal is, you need to make sure it's at least one, right? You don't need to have 15 money goals. You just need one right now. And you want to put a date on it because guess what? If you have a goal without a date, That's an untrained money brain decision right there. No, you got to give a date on it. And this is where a lot of people pause and sometimes absolutely shut down and go, I don't know if I can do that. You can always change the date. That's not a problem, but give yourself a date, and also give yourself a date that you honestly think you can get it done, which means that you might need to spend a little bit more time. Like, what is it that I'm really asking myself to do? What is it that I really need this money to do? So the next thing is that you have to have a practicing, manifesting ritual or behavior or routine, and follow it up with action. So for some people, this is prayer in the morning. I love that. For other people, it's meditation. For other people, it's specific neuro rewiring exercises. And whatever it is that you do, then you need to follow up with the action. Because many times we're like, okay, I'm going to think and grow rich here. And then it's like decision time. You've got to go deal with like a bill or taxes or something like that. You're like, ooh, I don't want to look. Or you don't really want to look at your bank account or your 401k right now, but maybe you have to. That's an important piece. It's also important to, let other people know if you're manifesting something that's big, share it with people if you want to. Absolutely. But don't take on their doubt. So a lot of times people will say, oh, it's good that you're going to go manifest that money for a down payment for a home, or you're going to manifest that money maybe to pay off a tax debt that you owe, or maybe you're going to manifest money to call in those bigger clients. But, your track record hasn't been very good. You don't need to listen to that doubt. You need to focus on you. You need to focus on what you're going to do, because quite honestly, these aren't your clients. These may be your friends, they may be your family, may even the spouse or your kids, but that's not what you're here for. You're here to actually manifest the money. And it's okay to set those little boundaries, up of like, I hear the doubt, but it's not my doubt. The other piece that I always try to tell people is that you want to rewire your money brain, because if you want to manifest the big money, what I see happen sometimes is that people do manifest the big money. They finally get it. Yay, yay, yay. And then they go get the home, they get the large clients, they, maybe pay off massive debts, or they do other really positive things. And you know what they do? They drop it. They end up sabotaging the situation. They forget that they need to make more money. They just sit around and, kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot of energy for that. That is all untrained money brain, creating that subconscious self-sabotage that can be rewired so that you can go, oh, that's right. My subconscious is actually my financial results. So I need to change that. Because if your financial results are, yeah, I make the money and then I sit around bored, or I don't like myself, or I'm just kind of this place of boredom or sadness, or just sort of low grade unhappiness, then guess what? You're not doing enough work. You can fix that. That's actually something that can be fixed. It's pretty easy to do. The next step is I always encourage people to tithe. Now, let me pause here for a second and tell you that tithing is not related to necessarily religion, although it does sometimes come out of scripture. If you're a Christian or Jewish or even, Muslim, you might have seen or heard about it. But tithing is actually a manifestation action. It is taking 10% or more of what you have, and you are giving it to your good. Now, what is good? See, this is where we have to think a little bigger with our goals. A lot of times, if people are just thinking like, I just want money for me and I'm not going to tithe, I'm not going to do that. Well, then what you're telling your money brain, as well as maybe the rest of the community, is, I'm not interested. I'm not willing to do that. I'll get my money first and then I'll think of it. But I'm telling you, as a manifestation action, it will dramatically change things. All of a sudden, money may show up in places that you don't expect. People may come in to help you. Why? Because you're tithing for your good, meaning you know that this money that you are giving is going to multiply in some other way. You don't need to know the full story, but it's going to help somebody. So a lot of times people tithe an actual person. So again, I don't recommend it's always family because then they'll be expecting it, right? No, you often want to tithe where your good is. So it could be a nonprofit. It could be something that's maybe political or climate action. It could be something as simple as, you just had a wonderful conversation with somebody on the street and you're like, I would like to offer you my tithe. Now, if they refuse it, that's, you don't have any control over that. You can still then, give your tithe to somebody else or another organization, but because you can't make people take your tithe. I mean, like, we're not here to be like, you're taking it. That's ridiculous. That's an untrained money brain thought right there. But tithing is a manifestation action. And I will tell you myself, I tithe, and yes, money comes back to me. And if you're trying to sell a home, I want to just take a breath here. You need to tithe on the gross of the sale, not the net. And I know some of you are like, what? And the reason that you do that is because, again, the universe is large. There is plenty of money, no matter what numbers are being broadcasted right now on social media or on our mainstream media or what you're hearing in your community. There's always plenty of money. And that's why you tithe on the gross, because it's there to help you stretch. And I've met people who tithe at 20% and do not complain. And I've met people who were in severe debt that learned to tithe at 40%, and their debt went away in no time. And they're much happier for that. So again, it's up to you to make that decision. But I'm telling you, 10%, you can do it. Definitely. And lastly, as I like to say, is if you really need help because you were feeling really stuck, you might have an opportunity to come work with me. And I'll share more about that as I continue, because who am I the one to tell you all about, money and, tithing and, money manifestation? Well, let me share. For the past 10 years, I've worked with people to recover their financial dignity and have those win-win money conversations to get paid and to make their money work for them. You see, I graduated from the Money Coaching Institute, and I've worked in the mental health field, and it's all about broken values and systems. And as a mental health and substance abuse counselor, I've seen how individuals and families can grow their generational wealth. And I've also seen they use their money as a weapon against their own flesh and blood. The real problem is that we are taught to partake in this money mind virus supplied by our mainstream media, obsession over the wrong numbers, abstraction of certain billionaires that do not want a thriving middle class, doesn't matter where it is in the world, and what you've heard in your communities and from your parents. And what they're always saying is there's not enough money. And that's the problem. This is why we have to have big money manifestation, is that you would have to believe that you can break through this glass ceiling. It's all self-imposed. And as I said, money is one of the easiest things to solve. It's because we're human. And I meant it, So on the road to becoming a money expert, money coaching was not the first thing I wanted to do. When I was 22, I thought I wanted to become an FBI agent in the behavioral crimes unit. But then I met my first FBI special agent, and it was a woman. And I could tell she was giving her power away, trying very hard to be like the boys, pretending to be fearless, and living in black and white. And I knew then if that's what the Bureau wanted, I would refuse to do that, because choosing to give away my power to an institution, a relationship, or to your fears only leads to more money misery, right? Yeah. So now I know your best chance for success is to become the financial powerhouse you were always meant to be. And as I said, money is one of the easiest things to solve because we're human and we invented it in the first place, right? So of course we can solve it. Even before you work with me, let me share 3 essential gems my clients always thank me for. So the first is daily consistent action compounds success. Yes. We want to be consistent if we're going to call in big money, not just when I think of it, right? Because that's not going to work. Our subconscious is going to show us, not great results, right? So let me tell you why daily action over big leaps is unrealistic to achieve those goals. When you take big unfamiliar leaps, you most likely don't meet your target. Then you miss it. And then you get depressed, and then you're doubtful for your next attempt. And before I continue, I know some of you are like, but Jeannie, big money, that is a leap. Sure. But the way to do it is do it in consistent action steps, so that you learn to build up those money muscles that you have in your brain, so that when you do receive the money, you won't be like, it was a miracle. I have no idea. Oh my gosh, now let me, completely waste it. Because most people who win the lottery, like over 66% of them, what do they do with the money? It's gone because they can't hang on to it. They don't know what they're supposed to do with it. And that's a money brain problem, which is why you haven't figured out how to tame all this sort of unruly, nibbling, wiggling little voices in your head, especially during times of stress. This hard grinding for your life is just a con. It leads to compassion fatigue, burnout, which is an actual medical term, and feeling depressed like a victim. Then you end up having contempt for anyone who looks like they're moving forward in life. And that is not a life you want to lead. No way, not at all. And so the first, of course, is daily consistent action. You make your numbers your best friend. Then you want to check on them every day. So you look at your money and your expenses and you tell yourself, this is the truth, even if it's a bomb. Because the good news is if you don't like the numbers, they can change. So first, it's consistent action. Second, it's Money Brain 101, a pattern you believe. We don't have enough money. I'm afraid to ask this person to pay. I'm afraid of the sales call coming up. You think that's the truth. But my clients and I discover these are tire bursting potholes on their money road that you keep falling into daily. And that's a truth bomb again, right? So, and that's pretty useful. So, first, it's consistent action. Two, you can't believe your money lies. Those aren't going to get you there. And third, one of the most valuable practices I teach my clients are 3 words: protect your bandwidth. Don't overwhelm yourself with people, places, and things, because a moneymaker has to protect their energy and their mindset. And I don't mean ignore people, never speak to them again, or try to talk down to them. No, I never said that. You want to protect your bandwidth, because when you have to deal a deal that doesn't go your way, or you may feel like you want to quit, you might feel like it's all your fault, but it never really is that way. It's really something that you need to change. And the only way to change that is to take a look at your money brain, because we'll just repeat the patterns of like, I want to quit. This isn't going my way. And I've been feeling like that a lot, more than a lot. And all I can say is I too have felt like that, even recently with all the news that's going on. But I still want you to protect your bandwidth, because you have the energy and clarity to shine for the next opportunity, right? So a healthy mindset is like, well, this didn't go well today, or I didn't expect that. Where can I go next? Or what are my next action steps? That'll be the difference, right? So it's really important that we don't overschedule ourselves. That's definitely a form of self-sabotage, but also we maintain some type of protective bandwidth boundary when it comes to how much we're scrolling, how much time we're on social media connecting with other people without a purpose, really. How much time are you texting or, sending emails, things like that. That's actually not a way to improve your bandwidth. It actually shrinks it. So here are some of the results I witnessed from my clients, right? So I had a client who thought they had no money, but that wasn't true. That wasn't true at all. In fact, they had money to pay their bills and grow their business. They had the experience and the track record, but they were programmed with the money mind virus from childhood that tells them they don't deserve to make more money. And, they're just not capable of making more money. But this creates a moneymaker's roller coaster ride. It's actually a disaster ride. And then you're up and then you're down. Then you're up and then you're down. And then you can't sustain any momentum and you don't know why. I had another client. He had to move his family into a different school district because it was going to be good for his kids. Problem was he recently lost his job. And so he was going to have to put down a bigger down payment. So his wife worked, but this still was a big concern. So he worked with me, and turns out he found the money and he moved. He then used the same money manifestation techniques I shared with him, and he got a better paying job, and he hadn't worked in like a year. Come on, it can happen, right? There was a time I had no idea on how to rewire my money brain. One of my darkest moments was right after when my mother passed away. It was in the winter of Maryland, and I was having visions of sleeping in my car and freezing to death, which I knew wasn't true, but yet my untrained money brain kept giving me worst case scenarios, and I couldn't turn it off, right? And so my business was starting to stall. And because of my grief about my mom, I was like, wow, this is just like really hard time. And sometimes we get dealt a very tough time. But I'm really happy to say that I did learn eventually how to rewire my money brain from sadness and grief and betrayal to love. And I eventually, got to that point of like, I can move forward because I'm happier now and life is good. And I really realized in that moment that I wanted to reclaim my financial power, as I taught many of my clients, but I had forgotten it myself. And has it ever happened to you that You don't use your gifts and talents for yourself, and then you vowed, like, I can't be this small. I'm being too small too often. So I was determined to overcome and teach others how to do the same. This is why I'm so passionate about rewiring your money brain from betrayal, grief, and anger and confusion to trustworthiness, happiness, laughter, and clarity. So your money and clients flow to you instead of walking around in a dark room looking for your hidden well without a flashlight. So you're feeling around like, I hope I'm in the right spot. I hope there's nothing there. And I would love to help you. And I'm going to help you right now because you are in the right space. I'm going to give you some immediate answers to questions of like, well, what do I do now? So if you are really interested in doing your big money manifestation, I want to give you 4 hints here. So the first one is you want to check your numbers, meaning you just need to know what's going on in your accounts. Like you need to know what your expenses are, what you have in savings, any type of what I call seasonal or quarterly, expenses that show up. You want to know that stuff. And you want to know roughly how much you're paying for your gas and your groceries. The second part that gets overlooked a lot is like, who do you know? And I'm not talking about who do you know on social media, like who do you actually know that you've connected with professionally and personally? Because that list is actually part of your golden network that people often, again, assume, I don't like this person. I encourage you to start working on that list. I'm sure you know more than 100 people, right? And the next thing is, if you could wave a magic wand, what would it look like if your work and home life looked different with all this big money? Because that's very important. That's how you start to begin that goal making process. And so what action steps do you want to ask yourself? I know kind of roughly where I want to go in this vision, but what can I do today? What can I do this week? What can I do this month? Because people make the big money because they decide to do it. And that's a moneymaker. That is somebody who has, I should say, big money manifestation skills. And those skills, you deserve to have them too. So I'll just say that some of you maybe want to work with me one-on-one to rewire your money brain so that you get your money working for you. I will tell you, my one-on-one clients, like many thousands, my one-on-one clients make thousands of dollars more than the do-it-yourselfers. And that's another truth bomb. But then I have something special, and it's a money makers event, and I want to give you the title because sometimes people are like, oh, I think I can just do it on my own. Okay. But remember, are you still in the money manifestation waiting room? So I created a big money event, literally because of what was happening in the federal government and just sort of seeing people feeling very powerless. And that's not true. We're very powerful because if you get this sort of unexpected career change that's happening maybe in a blink of an eye, you probably want to know how you can take care of yourself financially and not feel like you're stalling and panicking and guessing when it comes to your big money. So here's what I've created. I created the big money manifestation event, and it's going to be happening. I'm so excited. March 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's not your typical woo-woo series at all. I'm going to actually talk about what some of the gurus get wrong when it comes to manifesting. I'm going to talk about the key ingredients to hitting your financial goals without forcing yourself to jump through a lot of hoops or feeling exhausted, because that's all money brain stuff that doesn't need to happen. Why GoFundMe, bake sales, and car washes sometimes end up stalling your financial goals and derail your plans. And the 3 biggest money goal killers to a successful manifestation. How to prime your subconscious to sniff out these hidden opportunities that can help kickstart your wealth without all this friction that goes on in your head. And lastly, I'm going to share how you can do some simple steps to start to begin to rewire that financial lack into abundance. And it's in 2 weeks, guys, 2 weeks. And I want a full house. It's $100. And if you're worried about your finances, now is the time to get the help to manifest the big money. Again, it's March 27th at 1 p.m. Yes, it's on Zoom. Yes, you can get the recording if you register. So let me leave you with this, okay? Life is good when you know that you are a financial powerhouse, a big money maker when you need it. Thank you.